Hello, welcome to a quick cybersecurity video where I'll be teaching you how to use your hosts file to blacklist unwanted domain names. I'm Linux Live and I'm gonna get right to it. So here on my screen I have, on the left side, I have a Windows 10 virtual machine. On the right side I have a Linux virtual machine. And I'll be using these two machines to demonstrate what I'm trying to show you. First I want to show you how DNS works. Essentially, the computer runs off of IP addresses, and when you go to your web browser and you type in, let's just say, Amazon.com, like the picture shows, your computer does not know how to get to Amazon.com. It has to use an IP address. So what it does is typically it talks to your internet service provider, provides a DNS server, which translates Amazon.com to an IP address. After your machine gets that translation, your machine can then go to that IP address, the other networking protocols and whatnot. It essentially has the coordinates, if you would, to get to Amazon.com. Well, there is one step that we don't use anymore for some reason. We don't use this anymore. It's called a hosts file. Your machine actually will check your hosts file first before going out and asking a DNS server, hey, how do I get to Amazon.com? And so on the Windows machine, we'll browse to it. I'm just actually going to walk through all these steps so you can see how to navigate to these. So if you go to Windows, you go to this PC, or if you go to your C drive, if you're using a previous version like Windows 8, Windows 7, even on XP, I'm not sure if anybody uses anything previous to that anymore. Go to Windows folder, and you go to System 32, and then you're looking for drivers. Not sure why they put it under drivers, but then you're looking for the etc folder. And then you're looking for the host file right here, hosts. This right here has a list of machines, or rather it has a list of addresses and their URLs. Like you could put google.com in here and its IP address and it would show you. Now this line right here, these pound signs, means every line that has a pound sign is commented out. It's really just for notes, doesn't actually get read, doesn't do anything. So this right here is an example of what it could look like if you were to put in an address with a name. And so just for demonstration purposes, let's look up, using the nslookup command, we're going to look up google.com, www.google.com, right? And we get back this address, 172.217.2.228. We'll copy that, and if I was to put this in here, I would say this address space is www.google.com. And my machine would now never have to go out and ask a DNS server what google.com is. It would look right here in this host file. So rule number one, if you're just trying to look at keeping your computer a little more safe, make sure this host file is empty. If you're not going to use it, make sure it's empty, because this is a good way for an attacker, if they get into your machine, to say, hey, google.com doesn't actually equal this. It equals my fake version of Google, which could be look like Google, but actually have you typing in sensitive information without you knowing it, making you think you're actually on google.com or Facebook or whatever site you frequent, and they can kind of trick you into thinking that you're there when you're not. So if you're not going to use this file, make sure it's empty, make sure it's just like this, or it's completely empty. It can be absolutely empty. This is here just so you can know how it works. On the Linux side, it's the same thing, except it's in a different location. So if you're not familiar with Linux, we're going to go to the root directory, which is, if you print the working directory, it's right there at the very root. And we're going to cd into the etc folder. And here you'll see a bunch of stuff, a bunch of folders and files. And they also have a hosts file right here, hosts file, etc hosts. And to read that through the command line, we're going to cat, and then we're going to do hosts. Whoops. There we go. Hosts. And as you can see that it's almost the same. These are actually active. There's no comments in there. These are actually active. And the way this host file is read, it's pretty much the same thing. You have an IP address, you have a space, you have a name, and for the same IP address, you have a couple names separated by spaces. Anytime I refer to localhost, localhost.localdomain, localhost4, localhost4.localdomain4, it actually means I want to go here to my home address. As you can see, that's an example in the Windows side. The 127.0.0.1 is actually your loopback address. It's how your computer can browse to itself if it needs to. So with that said, I'm going to show you a little piece of software someone came up with. His name is Stephen Black. He created this host project on GitHub. And what I did, I made a little branch off. And all I did really was make this little UI for Windows users. I didn't change anything else. And I actually added the source code here in a zip file in case you want to see how it's built. For all you programmers out there, it's really simple. It's kind of stupid. Probably could have did it better. You all probably could have done it better. I really just made this so people like my parents, people who are not tech savvy, can click a couple buttons and get the job done. But for you who are a little more, tech savvy, a little more on the nerd side, who want, to dig in, I'm gonna show you exactly what to do to get pointed in that direction. Not gonna go over everything that this entails. There's a lot of there's some README files you can look into, and I highly suggest reading into those. So in order to edit these files, you want to be in administrator mode on Windows or in the root context on Linux. So on the Windows side, I'm using PowerShell. As you can see up here, it says administrator PowerShell. So that means I have administrator privileges. That means if I wanted to, I could actually delete that host file or modify it and save it. So if I wanted to actually open up that host file, I would want to, so system32 drivers, right? Drivers. In the Etsy folder and the hosts file. And here it is. I can edit it if I wanted to. And we'll just say I will. We'll just say 0.0.0 if my number lock was on. 0.0.0.0 space is actually google.com. And we're gonna save this. We're gonna exit. And to make sure it's saved, we're gonna reopen it. And my settings were saved. Sweet. Now I'm going to ipconfig flush DNS. Make sure nothing's cached. And now I'm going to try to go to google.com. Can't get there. My computer does not know how to get there. It thinks that google.com actually exists at 0.0.0.0, which is nowhere, right? And so you might be thinking, wait, I can do this with bad sites. Bad sites I don't want maybe my computer going to because it's a known malware site. Or maybe you have a family, you have little kids, and you don't want them accidentally browsing to like an an adult site or something. Or maybe you know someone who has a gambling problem, because that's one of the categories that Stephen Black did, was gambling sites, social media sites, fake news sites. Those are all the categories. Obviously they're gonna automatically block malware sites. There's no choice for you to not block malware sites. If you want to play with malware, I suggest this video is not for you. Because some people are into that. Some people are into dissecting malware and stuff. So if you're into that, then maybe you can use that in part of your project. But we're gonna take this line back out. We're going to save it. Oops, save, exit, and now we're gonna clear the cache again. And now we're gonna try to get to google.com again. Google.com, and it pops up. Sweet. So now we've essentially just learned how to blacklist google.com if we wanted to. Maybe you're worried about, hey, Google's tracking my every move. Block google.com. that way, or some of its subdomains maybe. Anyway, one more time though, essentially we have the user here, and then we have Amazon.com, the address located in the DNS server. Your computer will ask the DNS server, but on those green lines, there's a spot that's missing in there. It'll actually ask your host's file first. That's what we're getting at here. It's something we don't use anymore. I don't know why we've gotten away from this, but maybe because DNS is easier to manage, you know, and everybody has one. It's instead of updating everyone's host file, we just update a couple DNS servers across the world. So let's get down to it. If you're on the Windows machine, if you know how to use the GitHub command line, use the GitHub command line. There's the address right here for it. On the Windows side, we're going to download the zip file. On the Linux side, I'll actually use the GitHub command line. We're going to download this in a zip file on the Windows side. And we're going to open the folder. And there it is. It's a zip file. Now, I just built this machine in a VM, so it's brand new, has nothing on it. It doesn't even have antivirus on it. It has just Windows Defender. We're going to extract this folder right outside of the zip file we made. We're going to use it to navigate, see what's going on inside of here. For the Windows users, it's pretty easy to use because, like I said, with the user interface that I made for this, there's a couple checkboxes, and it may have to install Python if you don't have Python, and then it'll run everything. While that's being taken care of, we're going to do this on the Linux side. We're actually going to use the git command. We're going to clone this. https://github.com linuxalive host.git. Oh, it already exists. Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. So, note to self: you want to make sure you're in the right folder. Good thing that did not mess up anything too crazy. So, print working directory. I'm actually in the root's home directory now, where I'm supposed to be. And cd. Oops. List. It's not really what I want it to be. Who am I? So I want to go to home cd. I made a username called Finch. Downloads. Okay, here's what I'm supposed to be. Download file. Know where you're at. I had checked some things earlier, and that's a mistake. Good thing I didn't mess anything up. All right, so we're gonna run this command again. We're going to get this host file, or this host zip file. It's gonna unzip everything and put it into a host folder on this for Linux. While this is unzipping, I have both these running off the same hard drive, so it's probably what's taking a little bit of time. Windows and their zip files sometimes takes a little bit. Alright, so the Linux side is done. And what we have here, if you do a cd into that host file we just downloaded, actually we'll back out of there real quick. We have the host file, right? Or folder, it's a host directory, I'm sorry, host directory. We have all this stuff downloaded. So yeah, as you can see, we have a zip file here. That's the source code for this executable right here. And like I said, if you want to look at it, it's not very much, just a little GUI, and it kind of places the process and the arguments in place for you so that it can run the command for you. Because if you're not very savvy, you're not gonna know what to do, which I don't blame you. Some of us aren't savvy. I'm not a car person. I take my car, get it oil changed. I don't even do it myself anymore. I'm just like, you know what, this is not me. I could probably do it, but I'd rather just have someone else do it. So that's what we kind of try to do here. We're trying to give you a little menu. You can checkbox things and hit a button and be set. That's on the Linux side. On the Windows side, you can actually open this executable. It's right here. It has this icon, Internet Category Blocker UI. On the Windows side, It's pretty much that simple. If you get this little protection, protect your PC. If you trust, then trust. And hit the yes for when it prompts you for privileges. We can minimize this web browser now and this command line. And this folder as well. So we're working out of this folder. Now this window that'll pop up is right here. Little site blocker, it gives you the whitelists and gives you the blacklists. Like if you want to whitelist some domains, you can actually put them in here. Like, hey, I want to block all social media sites except for Facebook or except for Twitter or both. I can put both of them in there. You can put the names of the domains in there. You don't need to know the IP address of them. You just need to know the domain. Like you can put www.twitter.com. You can put that in there. And next one, www.facebook.com. And if you choose to checkbox social media sites, it'll block all social media sites except for these two. That's how that works. If you manually want to block a site that you're choosing not to block here, like I don't want to block social media sites, but I do want to block twitter.com. Probably put www.twitter.com. So I'm not going to choose to block social media sites, but I do want to block Twitter because, for example, in this video, I hate it. I don't really hate Twitter, but just for argument's sake. So what we'll do, we'll pick a couple of things. We'll do gambling. We'll do fake news, and then we'll go through the steps. These are the sites I want to block. Obviously, I want to block malware sites, so I have it selected. And number one, we're going to choose to install verify Python's installed. It's not installed, so it's going to install it. On the Linux side, typically you have Python installed. It comes native with it. So if I go over here and type in Python, it says I have a Python interpreter here now, version 2.7.14. We'll exit that. Come on. There we go. So that's installing over here. Once that's done installing, it'll say it's done installing. Then we can actually go and execute the configuration of our host file. And this being in a virtual machine, it's not the greatest. It's not very fast. A little bit slow, so bear with. I will be setting, I should have said this at the beginning, but I will be setting up points where you can skip to so that you can know which part of the videos have what you are looking for. All right, so it says down here, Python is installed and verified. Sweet. Now we're gonna do, say, like I said, gambling sites and fake news. We already opened up our host file. You saw that it had almost had nothing in it. It had the comments and everything. So here's what we'll do. The execute button. It's gonna pop up this command line. It's gonna go back out to GitHub. If there's more things that have been added to these files, it's gonna start. It's gonna be getting those, and it's going to be updating them. The configuration is complete. Down here is what our host file looks like. And to verify, we can actually go back to our command line here. Notepad, open up host file. And as you can see, it looks way different than before. We have notes that weren't there before from Stephen Black and his team up there doing this project. Even the project page for the URL, Stephen Black hosts. Like I said, mine's Lunixia Live host because I made a branch off of this. And I added something a little different. Added this user interface here. If you want to go straight to the source and you want to figure out how to use command line, by all means, do it. It's actually good learning, and I can appreciate people who want to dig in a little further and just verify. I mean, I'd verify this stuff too if I were you, because you don't know me from Adam. So read through it and see what it does and go for it. But yeah, if you can go through this entire list of sites and see what got blacklisted. If it has a 0 in front of it, it got blacklisted. So all different kinds of sites and they're done by category. General. These are just general sites you don't want your computer getting to, mainly for ads and stuff. Ads that can lead to malware. All different kinds of domain names. I think at the very bottom we have other stuff. Oops, that went all the way back up to the top. So, and this ends your blacklist right here. You have sports. This looks like this might be the gambling section. Not sure why sports would be in here unless you're gambling, betting on something. As you can see, there are a lot of sites added here. Yahoo banner ads. Yeah, so there's a category right here. Yahoo banner ads. Web bugs. I think they've classified as web bugs. But overall, let's see, like, let's just control G here. This is almost 50,000 lines worth of things. Some of them are comments, some of them are not, but you know, I would say at least it may be minus a couple hundred. 49,000 still. 49,000 lines of sites your computer no longer knows how to get to unless this file is modified. It's pretty great, especially if you don't want, like I said, if you have a family and you have kids, you don't want them going to social media sites, or maybe especially you don't want them searching adult sites. This is a good site to use. This is a good thing to use right here. So let's close this. Let's add the X-rated sites on here. Let's just say I do have kids and I do want to block that. We already verified Python's installed. We don't want to run this again. So let's execute this and run this one more time. I'm guessing we're going to have about 55,000 at least. So configuration built down here. Copied was like we did here, it does the ipconfig flush DNS. So if your computer did know how to get to it at one point and had that in memory, it flushes that out. So now what we have here is we'll open up the notepad and host file again, and we'll scroll down to the bottom right there, and we'll control G. 59,999. So one line shy of 60,000 lines. So so obviously there's about 10,000 plus X-rated sites out there. Here they are. Here some of them are. Now, not that I'm into this or anything, but if you're looking for a way to get all the sites out there, here's a way you can do it. I don't recommend for or against. I don't condone for or against. That's up to you. But that's all the list. That's the list, and that's how they're blacklisted. So, all right. I guess this could be a good way to discover a bunch of things. You can discover gambling sites this way. You can discover news sites. I know they're labeled fake news. I'm not sure. That's kind of up to you to determine if it's fake news or not. It's really just compare the facts to what they're saying, and that can determine if they're fake news or not. The other categories were, so malware, those are automatically blocked. You don't have the option to uncheck that. So gambling sites, X-rated sites, fake news, and social media sites. So not only can you block these if you are I recommend you being an adult when you do this, but you can use this tool to discover gambling sites. You can use this tool to discover X-rated sites. You can use this tool to discover fake news sites, as well as social media sites, for whatever purposes you have in mind. On the Linux side, it's a little bit different. So we have here, let's clear this command line out. ls, make sure we're in the same folder as before. You saw earlier, I was not in the right folder. So Python update hosts.py, and I want to do some arguments, right, for some categories. The tac e is to say I want to block these categories, right? And we plug in those names. We plug in porn, gambling, fake news, and social. Those are the 4 categories as you would type them in. And just for argument's sake, we're going to do all of them, and we're going to hit enter. Do you want to update all the data sources? So what this is asking is if you want to go back out to GitHub. Now on the Windows side, this does this automatically. It automatically goes back out to GitHub for any additional sites they may have added to their sources. So let's just say they had, you know, the gambling category, and let's just say Stephen Black and his team said, hey, we discovered 20 more sites today for gambling, we're gonna add them to our little list. What this here is asking, do you want to update all your source data sources, is, hey, if Stephen Black and his team found any more gambling sites, I want to add those to my blacklist. So yes, so it'll go out there and it'll get all of them. It'll update everything. All right, now that your stuff's updated, do you want to exclude any domains? Like I said, over on this side, this is the whitelist. Do you want to whitelist anything? And here you have to say yes or no. We'll say yes. For example, hulu.com. Okay. Do you want to exclude the domain hulu.com? Now this one specifically they asked for, because Hulu does require ads tracking for commercials and stuff. That's how they have the free part of what they do. Okay, so yes. You want to exclude any other domains from being blacklisted? Sure. Yes. For example, we'll just use the one they have in there, www.facebook.com. Oh, okay. Made a mistake there. Yes, so we'll do facebook.com. They don't want www, they want just facebook.com. Which actually makes sense, because anything before facebook.com, it could be www, it could be social.facebook.com, it could be payments.facebook.com. So if you do just facebook.com, any subdomain of that, anything in front of facebook.com can be used. Just like Google. Google has mail.google.com, hangouts.google.com, was it a OneDrive, not Drive, yeah, Google Drive, so Drive or Documents, whatever, .google.com. So that makes sense. Okay, do you have any more domains you want to enter? No, I don't. We're just going through this for demonstration purposes. So you want to replace your existing host file with a newly generated host file? Yes, that's the whole purpose of this. We want to generate host file and replace it. So here we hit yes. And then attempt to flush your DNS cache. Of course. Okay, flushing cache succeeded. It restarts a couple services, as you can see here. All right, so now what we can do is we can verify. Remember our host file we had earlier? Cat root etc hosts. As you can see, this is way bigger than before. This has a bunch of stuff in it. I think I saw MySpace on there. Pretty sure I did. Yeah, MySpace. This is this is the entire MySpace section that they know of. MySpace and subdomains. Like I said, there's myspace.com and things that are subdomain to MySpace, like browseusers.myspace.com, classifieds.myspace.com, collect.myspace.com. They're very granular about blocking MySpace, if you choose to block MySpace. All right, so we verified that. And if we were to now, this is Fedora Linux. It's a graphical user interface version of Linux, or rather, it has a desktop. It's I believe it's GNOME 3 or GNOME 3, whichever one you prefer. So we'll try browsing to one of these sites that's blocked, like Pinterest.com. Why I blocked that, I don't know. We're gonna try browsing to Pinterest.com. Like I said, this isn't a VM, so it's a little slow. Is it Pinterest.com? I spell Pinterest. I don't even know. You can tell how often I browse Pinterest. Pinterest, yeah, Pinterest.com. And it can't get there. Your computer no longer knows how to get to Pinterest.com. Even if you can reach a DNS server, which you should be able to, it doesn't know how to, because that host file is that first line it goes to. If the host file has an entry for that site, your computer assumes it knows how to get there. even if there is nowhere. So that's pretty much the purpose of this video, is to show you how to do those things. On a Mac OS, I don't have a Mac, but I would assume it's the same way. If you will need Python to run these commands, as shown right here. Python update host file.py -e. You don't have to do all of these. You can take any ones out as long as you separate them with a space. You can do social, you can do them any order you want to. You can do social, gambling, fake news, or you can just do social, you can just do gambling, you can just do gambling and porn, you can do, you know, any combination you want, as long as you put a space in between. And just follow the prompts and just make sure your host file got replaced. And if you can still, and after your host file gets replaced, if you can still browse that site, just reboot your computer. That way everything starts over again. All the memory gets wiped, and everything that's cached gets wiped, and then you'll be able to truly test and see if your computer has blacklisted those domains. Like I said, this is for the Windows side, this user interface. I don't know how to program for Linux, so I didn't do one. Visual Studio spoils me with making a graphic user interface. So like I said, that's the Windows side, that's the Linux side. If you have any questions, please drop a question in the comments. If you like this video, share it, like it, share it. I'm going to be trying to come up with some more videos here in the future, not just for cybersecurity, but for things like Minecraft and different things like that. I've been really slacking, but the more people encourage me to do it, the more likely I am to do it. So like I said, I hope you enjoy this video. Like it, share it, and give me your feedback, give me your thoughts, give me some ideas. Maybe I can do an idea on a video that you've had, or maybe you want to share a video yourself with something you've created that's similar. But anyway, until next time, thank you, and have a good one. Be safe.